What's up guys, it's Boy here, and today we're going to be talking about something a little more abstract. Something that isn't so obvious when you pick up a game and play it, but something that I feel at least can really make a difference. As I'm sure I don't really have to go into too much detail over this because many YouTubers already have, animation is important. It doesn't matter what genre of game you're making, the animation can really make something feel alive or dull, bring the player into the game, or take them right out of it. With that being said, we're going to talk about how animators can benefit from understanding what's called Manual of Arms. In short, Manual of Arms refers to how a given infantryman is taught to maintain, hold, fire, and reload his given weapon. Different countries have different manuals of arms. Different organizations have a different manual of arms. Even different members within the same organization that are divided into different units may have different manual of arms. So let's talk about this for a second, specifically with holding your weapon and reloading it. To really show how the same weapons platform may have different manual of arms depending on who you're asking, let's go over everybody's favorite weapon, the AK. Most of the time when the AK is featured in a game, the reload is incorrect, as after you rock out the magazine and put another one in, the player character takes their hand off of the trigger, moves it around, and rocks the charging handle on the right side. Now, I don't feel wrong is an appropriate word here. When it comes to guns, whether it's real life or games, think of it as efficient and not as efficient methods of reloading and handling your weapons. Let me explain a little bit further. While it isn't wrong to take your hand off the trigger and charge at the charging handle after you rock a magazine in, after all, that'll place another round in the chamber and your AK is going to be ready to go, it takes more time. And of course, the longer you take with your weapon being inoperable, the more time you give to your opponent to shoot you. So let's go over two different manual of arms for reloading and handling your AK. Right now, you're already seeing one. In Far Cry 4, AJ, after emptying out his AK, will rock out his magazine, put another one in, and then after he's done that, he will tilt his AK over towards his left, and with the same hand he used to eject and put in another magazine, he'll move it over the gun and rack the charging handle. Then he'll go back to his standard shooting position. This method of reloading makes you a lot quicker and puts you in a position in which you are ready to fire, much faster than the Spetsnaz operative in Black Ops. This isn't the only more efficient method, however. The proper manual of arms, many would argue, is rocking out the magazine, putting in another one, and instead of tilting your AK and bringing your hand over, you move it underneath your AK and then rack your charging handle. The idea behind this manual of arms is that it allows you to bring your left hand back where you need it to be on your rifle so you can properly shoulder your AK as you begin to fire again. Later entries of the Call of Duty franchise like Warzone feature this exact manual of arms. So I know what you're thinking at this point. Yeah, Pliskin, that's cool and all, like now I know a little bit more about how to reload an AK, but why does this matter to games? Well, let's get into that right now. In single-player first-person shooters, a lot of the way that you get to know the character you're playing as in relation to the story is the animations. Since you can't really see their face, you get to know the character you're playing as, who they are, what they're used to, a sense of their identity through what their hands are doing. So for example, you can use an improper or less efficient manual of arms in a game like Far Cry 3, where you're playing as Jason Brody, a kid way in over his head who doesn't really know what he's doing, so his reloads look a little bit more awkward, like he isn't familiar with the weapon system. So if he's using an AK, he's not going to reload it like Snake will with proper manual of arms. He's going to rock out that magazine, and right after that he's going to take his right hand off of the trigger and pull the charging handle, like someone who's inexperienced with an AK and the proper manual of arms for using it. On the other hand, in a lot of multiplayer games, let's go back to Call of Duty, you'll have different versions of reloads, or in the case of the older games, you'll have the normal reload, which takes a while, and then you'll have quick reload, which back in the day was just sped up animations, which looks a little awkward looking back on it now. In a multiplayer game, if you want to create some sort of balancing where some people reload slower than others, you can have improper usage of manual of arms to represent the players that don't have this fast reload feature, but then you can represent proper manual of arms to players who have unlocked or have equipped the fast mag change. Moving back to application in single-player games, certain games that are intended to be extremely immersive and pull you in, like an RPG like Fallout, can actually suffer at not knowing proper manual of arms and as such modeling the guns incorrectly. For example, whenever I pick up the service rifle or the assault carbine, anything modeled after an AR, I'm constantly reminded that the developers had no idea how an AR works. Now, Warzone allows us to see the AR in a lot of detail, quite nicely actually with its model viewer. Kudos to the developers. Now, on the left side of the AR, you'll notice there's two little buttons. The button on the bottom is something that you press to eject the magazine. Unlike the AK, you don't rock it out. You simply press it, it comes out. You put another one in, and then that button on top of it is what you use to charge the rifle into battery. Now, many games feature the character charging the AR by pulling on the T-bone charging handle that's near the top there. That's not wrong, however, it's less efficient. It's the equivalent of taking your hand off of your trigger on your AK and then pulling that back. It takes way too much time when you can just press the bolt release, which is that button on the top there. Now that we've gone over the basic function of the AR, let's talk about what Fallout New Vegas really gets wrong. Now I want you to look on the right side of the AR here in Warzone. You'll see like there's this little nod sticking out of it. That is called the forward assist. That is used to help you sort through jams or other issues that you may have while chambering your AR. It is not in any way a charging handle of any sorts. However, in Fallout New Vegas, as much as I love the ARs in that game, every time the courier goes to reload them, he tugs on the forward assist like it's a charging handle, and it pulls me right out of it. Now, I'm sorry if I personally ruined Fallout New Vegas for you every time you use one of these service rifles or AR variant type weapons, but it can be a little frustrating. And ties into what I said at the beginning of how animations are important and that they can really influence whether or not a player is invested or if they're completely just out of the game because of something they've seen. So yeah, there's no big dissection on a game right now or a big video. This is like a little side project video. I just wanted to share with you guys my thoughts on manual of arms and how games can benefit from them. Whether it's more realistic and immersive ways of having faster reloads in multiplayer that give advantages or disadvantages, or if it's a single player game that's trying to communicate something through its story as to whether or not its protagonist is prepared to deal with the situation they're in and is prepared to deal with the weapons that they have, or if it's an RPG trying to keep you immersed. I think these little details matter. If you do too, leave a like on this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you learned something new, awesome. If you're already a gun guy and never noticed that thing in New Vegas, again, I'm sorry. Anyways guys, this has been Pliskin, over and out.